Frankie, Tottenham. Last week you said to me about the Brighton game, you were like, we might win, we might lose, but it's all about next weekend for me. Is that still very much the case?
Absolutely. It's just one that you just have to win. Don't care circumstances, situations, whatever it may be. You always want to win these ones, bragging rights and all that. And we sort of had the better of them not so long ago. And recent times they've just started to get the upper hand. So we need to take that back again. And yeah, it's. They just don't hear the end of it, do you? If they beat us, it just drives you mad all week. So yeah, very important to me.
We're recording this Friday morning. Obviously, last night, Man United won 3-0 away to Bilbao. Spurs won 3-1 at home to Bodo Glimt. Are we going to get a Spurs Man U final, do you reckon?
Yes, this pretty much done and dusted. It should be. If either of them mess it up from here, then I mean it'd be a very Tottenham thing to do. If and that goal that they got towards the
Yeah,
end
yeah.
there, just that slight little bit of doubt going in at the. And do you know what? It's actually helped us for this weekend actually because they need to focus more on that second leg now. So yeah, hopefully it's added a little bit more distraction than if they would have gone in 3-0.
Who do you think out the four teams, in case you think there's going to be a big turnaround in the semi-finals, but out the four teams, who do you think is going to go on and win it?
Oh, just hope so much that it's United. Um, United winning it doesn't really affect us in any
Yeah.
way. Tottenham winning it, and especially the fact it's Europa League and not Conference League, that would just be a nightmare. If it was Conference League, then they've only done the same as what we've done. If it's Europa League, then they'll certainly be telling us that our one was the Mickey Mouse one and their one was the proper one. So, don't even want to comprehend what that would be like if they go and win it. But the worrying thing is, I fancy them.
Yeah, so do I. Unfortunately, it's like the lesser of two evils, almost. Desiring perhaps Man United to go on and win it if should they meet in the final. Anyway, turning our attentions to Sunday in terms of the lineup from Potter's. Anything in particular? I know you usually dismiss it, is you're not that bothered what he does as long as we win. But do you have any urges for this weekend?
I'm not normally bothered, and I was really happy, as I said a couple of weeks ago, that if there are people who don't want to be here long term, and we know that, and we're aware of that, then give some of the very talented youngsters that we've got at the moment a chance. I'm very, very different with this one. This is experience. This is making sure that we've got people who know how to manage a game like this. And if because they do now have still some more work to do in the second leg, and they do a bit of rotating. Even more so that the way that we get the upper hand in this one is making sure that we've got very experienced players who know how to manage these occasions and just know what these sort of things are all about. And I'm not saying you can't get a youngster come in who's bang up for it in these ones, but yeah, I just feel that some senior level heads are really important in this one, and that's the way that we've got the best chance of doing what we need to do.
There's two areas I want to pick you apart on, or get your opinions on. This is the centre back and centre midfield, because I'm just going to assume that you want to see Bowen, Fulkrug, and Kudus start, and that you want to see Wan-Bissaka right back, etc. So at the centre back, would you like to go back to a back four, and therefore one of the centre backs gets dropped? And if so, which one would you prefer to see dropped?
I don't think they were particularly good last night in attack, Tottenham. I know it sounds mad being 3-1, but I don't think Richarlison had a particularly good game. Whether or not he'll play or not is obviously another matter. But I'm fairly okay with any of our centre backs in this
Okay.
one. It doesn't matter to me too much. The only thing that I would probably give to this one is that, like I said, managing these occasions and so on, I think is really important. I think obviously Mavropanos has been in these situations. For whatever reason, Mavropanos seems to do quite good in London derbies as well. He was good against Arsenal last season. He don't mind these sort of games. So
Yeah.
I would be quite happy with Kilman and Mavropanos. But if we lined up with Kilman and Todibo, I'm not too fussed either, really.
Yeah, I think a good job you watched. I didn't watch the Spurs game last night. I had to watch the Man U one because the other half's granddad is a Man U fan and he doesn't have TNT Sports, so it's can I come home and watch the football? So he was around, so I had to watch the Man U games. I didn't get to watch the Tottenham one. In terms of central midfield, then this is the big problematic area as far as I'm concerned, and it's the same problem every single week. And it's mad that this is our 35th game of the season, league game, and I still don't think we found a winning combination in the middle of the pitch. Now, that could be because there isn't one, in the sense that no matter who we play, there's going to still be issues in there. But I still don't even think we've discovered the best of what's available to us, if that makes sense. I still don't look at our team and go, well, that's clearly our best partnership. So, which is just bonkers. But what would you like to see on Sunday in terms of the engine room of West Ham?
So this is the perfect example of why I'm never keen on fan opinions on lineups, and that's the reason it's down to the manager, is because the manager's been there all week. He knows where players are, how they feel, what sort of mentality they're in, what sort of fitness they're in. This game is absolutely made for Edson Alvarez. These sorts of games are the sort of games where if you need someone to really mix it up and put himself about in the midfield, but we haven't seen him for a little while. Where is his head? I don't know. What are the reasons why he hasn't been available to us? I'm not 100% sure. I don't think any fan is 100% sure. We can hear things and hear rumours, or we can hear what's been said, but I don't think we really know. And, he would be the first person on that team sheet for me, should he be in the right mental state, wanting to play, injury-free. That's done for me. And the other one, I just also think you've got to have Souček, because in these games, again, these are just the games that he knows what they're about. Souček feels what we feel. And regardless of what people think about Souček on a footballing level, I think he gives 100% to West Ham all the time.
Yeah, he does that.
And these are those 100% games where it's really important.
Yeah, I think the Alvarez one will be interesting because I'm a bit suspicious around his absence. It was a back injury. But then last week, when Potter did his pre-match press conference, he said, Alvarez will be back next week, indicating this game. So it'd be interesting to see if he is, because if he's not, I think it would suggest that there's something going on behind the scenes. Obviously, when he missed the first game, it coincided with the rumours that he wanted out and was on his way out this summer. So we'll wait and see. I think we'll get a few answers to the Alvarez thing this weekend. Simply, is he in the squad or not, and is he playing? And if not, then maybe there is more to it. Frankie, during the week there was a lot of money talk around West Ham. What have you made of the whole thing?
Winds me right up, I've got to be honest. Yeah, I'm going to flip it back a little bit here, if you don't mind, because there's something that I think really needs to be answered, and a question that again, I never try and have an opinion on something that I don't know enough about. So my frustrations come from a situation where I don't really know 100% whether or not my frustrations are justified.
Okay.
And my frustrations all stem from the fact that we were told that this move that we've been on is the one that helps us become that next level in terms of competing in the Premier League. And now I can fully accept that things go wrong, that transfers cannot be 100%. I can fully accept that managers don't work out. I can accept that you have a bit of an iffy season from transitioning from one thing to another. I can take on board all of that. And my frustrations don't come from where we finished in the table this season. But where I do get frustrated is that we've sold we basically had a record sale come into the football club. We were always been a bit of a selling club. We was kind of told that was never going to be the case anymore, that we can have a world-class stadium, a world-class team, all this and that and the other. We obviously have an incredible deal in terms of the stadium, in terms of the costs and the ongoing operation costs that come as part of having our stadium. We've got huge attendance every single week, huge amounts of ticket sales. So I can't for the life of me understand why we should be in any sort of financial difficulty right now. We've had a massive sale of one of, over £100 million for a player. We've had a situation where that we've been through Europe. And I understand, and I can also take on board that we would have had less revenue this year than previous years without European football and all of those other things. So I can accept that we might not be, on the balance sheet, we might not be showing as much revenue as past years.
Yeah.
But how are we in a deficit right now? We had a fantastic run of gate receipts, of television, of European football, all of these things. I can't really comprehend why we should be in any form of financial difficulty right now. But the question that I want to ask is, if we are in financial difficulty right now and we're going into the summer not being able to spend or having to sell before we can spend, where would we have been if we were still at Upton Park? Like that versus this, I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. And are they literally saying that if we'd have been at Upton Park, we'd be banging trouble financially right now, because we wouldn't have had anywhere near the gate receipt money. We wouldn't have had anywhere near the run that we've had. So I just can't get my head around. Are they literally saying that to be able to compete and financially compete in the Premier League right now, you've got to have the types of deals that we've got with our stadium and with everything else? It just doesn't make any logical sense to me. And I just, if we'd still been at Upton Park right now, where would that leave us?
The only counter argument I've got for that to your question is that, and this depends on people's own beliefs. I'm not going to say I'm right, you're wrong. This is just my opinion. It's not factual. I don't believe that we've achieved anything at the London Stadium that couldn't have been achieved at Upton Park.
Well, we have revenue.
Yeah, but in terms of, the European run, for example, I think we could have finished 6th and 7th while still playing at Upton Park. So yes, our revenue has increased. I guess to some extent, I'd imagine our stadium costs have decreased because we no longer employ stewards, for example, that is provided by the London Stadium. I don't know, somebody a lot more wiser and switched on than I would be able to give you a more detailed answer.
And this is the point. We suffer that stadium, right? Suffer. And that it sounds like a big word. And there'll be some people on here who are very happy going over to London Stadium, and I understand that. I feel like it's a suffer. I feel like I suffer that stadium. And you suffer it for a benefit. At the moment, what is the benefit?
Yeah, I guess so. If they turn around and say, look, it brings in 20 million extra a season, you go, right, okay, I don't like it, but there's a justification there that it benefits West Ham United as a whole. Although people feel like they're missing out, there is hard evidence. Yeah, I agree. I don't buy this financial stuff. Like I said, I've sort of made my mind up to some extent, which is that, I keep going back to the whole reporting this week. I think has just been badly murky in cash flow and PSR ability. I think it's two completely different things. And I think it's been reported, and 1 minute it's reporting a cash flow issue, and then it goes into like a PSR issue, then back to a cash flow, but it's not very clear in it. I feel like it's almost set out to confuse people deliberately. So people will read it and go, I don't know what this is on about. All right, I'll just take it. Well, we're scared, fair enough, and I'll move on. And that's where I get frustrated with the inaccurate reporting. It's more the lack of clarity and the lack of transparency when it comes to the reporting side of it. And as I always say, the ability to spend, which is PSR, and the ability to pay, which is cash flow, is two completely different things. And my opinion is, because you can lose 105 million for PSR over a 3-year rolling period, you're allowed to lose 105 million. That's a lot of money you're allowed to lose. But you're only allowed to 15 million of that's the club's money. The other 90 million has to be put in via secure funding, which is where you look at the owners and say, well, you have to put 90 million in, and they're not allowed to loan it to the club. Sullivan can't go, 90 million, I'll write a check, 7% interest as usual. There you go. No, it's got to be equity shares. He's got to put that in hard cash to, and I think that's my opinion is that's the issue. We're probably allowed to spend money. We're probably allowed to make more losses because we posted a profit for the last 3 years rolling. Not many clubs have done that. So that's why I'm even more sort of, I say determined. I don't know. If someone can accountant come around and say you're wrong, I'll tell you why. Fair enough, he wins because he knows far more than I do. It's just my belief at present is that we have the ability to spend, but we don't have the ability to pay unless we dip into that 90 million we're allowed to put in via secure funding from the owners. Now, that doesn't have to be David Sullivan. It could be Gold. It could be Kretinsky. It could be them all. But that's where I look, and I think, well, this is the difference between West Ham compared at present to a Newcastle United or a Nottingham Forest, where their owners are happy to put that additional money in and say, let's go to our limit. Let's go to the 105 million. We will put in that 90 million and let's spend. Whereas I don't think we have owners that are willing to do that. I think they're willing to spend the club's money and that's it. So when it comes out, we're skint. I think what they're saying is the club's money is disappeared. But what about now? No, forget that extra 90 million. We're not going to do that. We're going to stick with the money that the club have in that. That's my opinion anyway, Frankie. That's
but
my
the
opinion.
only reason that can be the case, the only reason, would come from poor decision making at the very top of the football club. And I know what's coming next.
What's that?
That Stuyton will be to blame for a lot of this.
Well, this is the thing, right? This is the one thing. If I could ever interview Sullivan, and I went to interview Sullivan a few years ago. I can't remember how many years ago it was. It was more than 3, less than 7, right? It was in that period. And I wasn't going to do it myself. I was going to do it with someone else from another fan channel. And, well, I'll say it was Nicky from West Ham Fan TV because we thought it'd be better to have 2 of us. But the club said, well, you have to sign you have to send the questions in advance. So we said, no, we're not doing that. So we'd rather not have the interview. We'd rather have no interview than one that's like, but if I could ask Sullivan questions, I'd say to him, well, as a chairman, why have you allowed Tim Steidten spend all this money last summer knowing that this summer there's going to be literally nothing to spend? Part of me is thinking, is that why you've got rid of Tim Steidten? Because you're coming into the summer with someone that you're paying, I assume, a 7-figure salary to, and he's got no money to spend. Like, why would you have someone to deal with transfers? There's no cash there. And I guess a good director of football, because essentially that's what he was trying to be, although that wasn't his job title, would be able to sell players as well. He'd be able to come into this summer going, right, Caduceus out the door for 90 million. And now I know exactly how much I've got to spend, and away we go. And I think to some extent, maybe that's where we've had a bit of an issue that we've almost allowed our director of football to have a blank check for one summer, and then we've gone, oh crap, can't afford this. Actually, we don't know what we're going to do next summer or the summer after that. And it feels like the guy in charge of the budget doesn't really know what he's doing, and he's allowed the guy spending the budget to do what he wants, and it's got to the point where he's gone, oh, someone should have been keeping an eye on that expenditure actually, because we're skint. So I just don't buy it. I think we hear it every summer. And listen, maybe we are, because it does feel like the spending over the years has been unsustainable, because we have had big spend ups. And Declan Rice aside, we've had very few players going out the door for a decent fee. You know, Fornals went for less than 10 million. Kedder went for around 10 million. Ben Rama, we got 15, 20 million for eventually. There are like big sales apart from the Declan Rice aside. That's the biggest ones. And so it's always felt a bit unsustainable, but because it's like the boy who cried wolf, Sullivan pleads this every summer, I feel like. I ain't having it. So then when it is genuine, I don't believe him because of all the summers gone by where it turns out it's a load of cobblers. But I'll tell you what, though, if it's true, this is the worst summer to do it in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We know we need, and it's, you see a lot of comments at the moment, especially on some of the videos that we do, and they say that at the end of the day, it all boils down to the players. I'm very much somebody who believes that management always takes the blame, always. And if I employ staff and they do a poor job, that's my responsibility. That's my fault. I have to stand up and say, look, I got it wrong there, which is why I do blame always the manager of the performance on the football pitch. But there is one higher than that, which is the people who are in control of what goes on at this football club. And it does seem like, and it was never sustainable, was it? You can't keep record signing players like Hilaire and for 40 odd millions of pounds and then them leaving for next to nothing. That's not sustainable. You can't keep doing your money in cold blood. Felipe Anderson was another one. You can't keep chucking huge transfer fees on players and then getting no return from them on the pitch, and then them going out the door 5 minutes later and not getting anything back for them. So that was never sustainable, and you can never, you can't work like that. We obviously had a very aging squad, for the last few seasons. We've been up there with the highest in terms of, aging squad. So we've always ticked along, and this was always the fear, isn't it? You're ticking along. You've got a very old squad in the Premier League. You've not really got any young players coming through fighting for positions in your first 11, which means every single season, as these people are getting over the hill or getting past it or going out the door, you've always got to replace them. And at one point, that's going to get to the tipping point of we need a full rebuild. And it seems like every single season, we've got to bring in lots of people. Again, it's just really poor management, really poor planning, really poor direction that we're going in. And the buck stops. You can, and I will blame Potter for what happens on the pitch during 90 minutes because he is the manager. It's his job. He's paid a lot of money to get a performance from those players. And if they don't perform, it's up to him to get them to perform. It's up to him to drop them, manage them, whatever it is he's got to do. The performance of the players is his sole responsibility. But the performance of the club is down to the board and the people who are in charge who take a lot of money. And it seems like time and time again, they're getting it very, very wrong. We had a European run which started with a really weird time during lockdown. I don't put that run down to any forward planning from our board.
No, not a chance.
It was just something that came together and just happened. And then after that, something just clicked for a period of time. And there will be credit where credit's due and everything. And then the board started to sort of, we're going to spend money. We're going to spend money here, there and everywhere. But really throughout that, certain bits worked and some bits really weren't working. And while we're all sitting there enjoying this purple patch of, being in Europe and everything else and decent finishes in the Premier League, we're not bothered about looking at the fundamentals of what's happening at the football club. We're not looking in the future. We're just in the moment, loving what we're doing, going to, Belgium and going off to wherever we was charging across Europe. We're loving it. But deep down, when you looked at and you broke it all down, you were sitting there, you're looking back and you're thinking, hang on a minute, this was always not sustainable. We weren't planning for the future. We weren't even trying to maintain where we were because we still had this very aging, very old, very senior squad. We weren't really bringing in players to compete in certain areas or to look like they were going to be, challenging the first team to try and get their positions. And we could literally see, I know Soufal's getting a bit older, but someone's going to come in there. Emerson and Cresswell is not going to work out on the left, but we've got this guy coming through. And I know Scholes has sort of tried to be that man this season, and that's what we should have been working on previously. But, we had this sort of mantra really of just playing experienced players and, just ignoring anything else. So, unfortunately, I think it was always going to hit a point like where we are now. And I'm really hopeful that we don't feel the brunt of a lack of planning versus running out of money. Because if we end up in that position, it's going to be bleak. And like I said to you, people are frustrated. Season ticket renewals are showing that people aren't 100% happy. There will be some people out there who are very happy with how things have gone and how things are currently going. And I can accept their feelings. And if this is what they like and what they've been wanting, that's fair enough. But from the season ticket sales tells you for the first time in a very, very long time that the fans are not 100% behind where the club is right now. And I said to you, I think it's going to take a real big marquee striker signing to inject a bit of life in the fans again, and a bit of belief and a bit of enthusiasm to want to, get season tickets and get back over there and cheer West Ham on again. And if they can't make that happen because their poor financial planning, their poor squad management and squad planning, worrying times.
Yeah. Anyway, time will tell, Frankie. We shall have to wait and see. To sum it up, though, there's nearly 1,600 tickets available for the Spurs game on Sunday right now. Time recording Friday morning, 9:30. Yeah, that's a lot of tickets available to buy or / gone unsold, whichever way you want to look at it. And those tickets are season ticket holder tickets that don't want to go and they put it on the ticket exchange. So there's 1,600 tickets available to purchase at the minute. Which
there are normal tickets as well, not just those tickets. Because I picked 2 up yesterday behind the goal, premium tickets, not up in the gods. We're talking like main tickets here.
This fixture in years gone by, even when we were crap, would have sold out, and you'd be able to get a few, but they would have gone as quick as they went on the ticket exchange. But this time round, there's just a lack of appetite to attend this fixture, which is usually quite. And
the worrying thing is, Geo, to be honest, is they're all coming with enthusiasm after last night. They're on this European tour, so they'll have that life in them that we had when we were in European semi-finals and so on. It does make you worry about who's going to be picking up these extra tickets, because we've seen these situations before where people end up in our end. It's not a good look.
It literally happened in Spurs' last game. They were away to Liverpool, and because Liverpool won the title, a lot of Spurs fans were selling their tickets to Liverpool fans. You can see pictures after the game where the away end, where all the Tottenham fans were. There's Liverpool fans with big banners out and stuff like that because they'd paid a few £100 to get to Anfield for when they win the title. So
and it shows you that most football clubs, when you go on and buy tickets, require memberships or require personal details.
Yeah.
Well, I picked 2 up from West Ham yesterday, didn't take anything. And the reason they don't ask for anything is because they're sending a lot of these tickets to people who don't reside in the UK. They want the tourism, they want this. So they're not going to make people sign up for a membership, because that's going to make the tourist who's going to potentially buy the ticket for one game.
Well, speaking of that, West Ham have got a travel partner. I think it's called P1.
P1, yeah.
Currently, I'm not suggesting you do this, but if you were going to pick up a ticket, it's worth having a look on their website, because, and this is a problem, but it's a problem that's not been solved yet. So as a consumer, take advantage of it if you wish. Currently on the P1's website, the tickets are cheaper there than it is on West Ham's website. So P1 Travel, which is a partner of West Ham, are undercutting West Ham. Welcome to West Ham. You can pay face value with the club, or you can get a little bit less than face value with their travel partner P1, which is something that groups have brought up in the past with West Ham, and they've vowed to fix it and get rid of it so that doesn't happen. But unfortunately for this fixture, it's not happening. So you can actually get cheaper tickets over on that travel website, which, listen, it may feel a little bit immoral and things like you shouldn't be doing it and whatever, but it's a legal ticket through a partner of West Ham. So if you are going to pick up a late one, check their website out first, because you might save yourself a few quid, which will help everyone. Frankie, last question. What's your score prediction? And any other predictions as well? If you're thinking we're going to win, you've got a scorer prediction, or what are you fancying?
Well, I've been saying Kudus had been knocking on the door. He got his goal last week, so I was happy about that. That was due. But I'm going to go 3-1 West Ham win.
Ooh.
With Souček getting one. Füllkrug definitely going to notch in this one, 100%. This is made for him. So yeah, Souček, Füllkrug, 3-1 West Ham win. Job done.
Well, I said 3-1 in the preview as well. So
did you?
Yeah, I might have to have 5 shillings on 3-1 or something. I better be decent odds though. I don't know. 14-1, 15-1, maybe. I think you might get on 3-1 West Ham, so I might have to have a few quid on it. I think Bowen will be involved in the action as well. But as long as I get a Fulkrug hat trick, just to give myself some hope, I'll be happy. Anyway, Frankie, thank you very much. A thoroughly enjoyable podcast as always. Hopefully people at home have enjoyed it as well. But as I always say, if you made it this far, which is half an hour, I would argue that you have enjoyed it, or you've put it on and you can't reach your phone to turn it off or something like that. But thank you very much for joining us. Please do drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up button. It helps out the video and the channel a lot more than you think by clicking that thumbs up button underneath. It's going to have a chat with myself and Frankie. Well, we'll catch up with you next week, hopefully celebrating a West Ham win, and we've won a little bit of money. Catch you then.